Welcome back to another review of Eerie, Indiana. If you're new here, I've been doing a review on every single episode, so feel free to check out my other reviews. In this video, I'll be reviewing episode 11, called Who's Who, so let's get into it. This episode originally aired on November 17th, 1991, and was directed again by Tim Hunter. The episode starts off with Marshall and Simon at the World of Stuff, but it seems to be overrun by little barbarians. These little kids are breaking everything in the store. Marshall is just there to use the phone to call his mom for a ride home because his bike had magically disappeared. After the phone call, Marshall and Simon see one of the little kids trying to tie a girl's shoelaces to the chair. Marshall and Simon scare him off, and the girl thanks him. She lets them know that they are unfortunately her brothers. Mo Bob, who was played by Jacob Gelman, who was known for Uncle Buck in Quantum Leap. Lou Bob, who was played by Sean Babb, who was known for Greedy in Total Security, and Bob, who was played by Daniel Evans from Back to the Future 3. Marshall then asks her for her name, but she mumbles it at first, but then speaks up that her name is Sarah Bob. She was played by Chanel Gray, who did voiceover work for Kingdom Hearts 3, Mass Effect, and Rogue Galaxy. Marshall then introduces himself and Simon, and Marshall asks her where her mother is. Sarah Bob tells Marshall that her mother is traveling. She then tells Marshall that she overheard him saying his bike was gone. She begins to sketch Marshall's bike with the description that Marshall gave her. She even added a flag on it. She shows Marshall, and Marshall says that's his bike alright, but it didn't have a flag on it, but that he liked it anyway. Marshall tells Sarah Bob that she's an artist and that she should sign her sketch. Just then Mo Bob comes in and steals Sarah Bob's last pencil. Marshall asks Radford if he has any pencils. Radford says that all he has left is his Eerie No. 2 pencil. Marshall looks at it and buys it and gives it to Sarah Bob to sign her sketch. Marshall says that as soon as she signed it, Sarah Bob changed. Just then Marshall hears his mom honk the horn and tells Sarah Bob that his mom was here. Sarah Bob seems very interested in Marshall's mom for some reason. As Marshall and Simon head outside, they see Marshall's bike parked outside, only with a flag on it, just like Sarah Bob's sketch. They examine the bike and conclude it's Marshall's bike. Marshall's mom then questions Marshall, saying she thought his bike was stolen. She then tells Marshall to go home because he has a lot of chores to do. Sarah Bob, who was watching them, comes out and says hi to Marshall's mom. She says hi back and leaves. Marshall and Simon ride back home with Marshall on the Sarah Bob bike. As usual, something strange was going on. Marshall wants to examine the bike, but as soon as he gets home, his parents are waiting for him at the garage door he was supposed to paint. Marshall's dad is pissed because Marshall was supposed to do this 5 Saturdays ago. Marshall apologizes and starts to show them the sketch, but Edgar doesn't want to hear it and tells Marshall to change and get to work. Inside, Cindy is painting and shows her mother what she painted, only it's kind of difficult to tell. Edgar then takes a look at it and tells her to draw what she feels, and then asks her if she's feeling okay, which I thought was hilarious. She even asks Marshall what he thinks of her painting. Marshall says it's good, but that it's upside down. Then someone knocks at the door, and when they answer the door, it's the creepy cop asking for Marshall, which Cindy was quick to point him out. The police officer sure knows a lot about Marshall. He tells Marshall he has something for him. Turns out to be Marshall's missing bike. Now Marshall has 2 bikes. They think it's too weird and decide to go talk to Sarah Bob. They ride over to her house and you can hear her family arguing from outside. They're about to knock at the door, but Sarah Bob tells them that they wouldn't even hear it. Sarah Bob is sitting up on the roof. Marshall asks her what she's doing up there, and she says that she's waiting for her family to miss her. Simon then says that she might be waiting for a long time. Marshall then shows her the sketch and asks her if she thinks they look similar. She agrees they look similar, but says that she only drew what Marshall told her. Marshall asks her if she has other drawings, and that Sarah Bob says that she does in her room. They go inside, and it's a war zone. She introduces Marshall and Simon to her dad, Dad Bob, who was played by Richard Grove, who was known for Army of Darkness and his voiceover work. Dad Bob doesn't seem to care. Marshall asks why they all have the same name, or why her parents couldn't give her a girl version of her name, like Barbarella. Sarah Bob says that yeah, she would like a name of her own, and just begins to walk downstairs to her room. They head downstairs to the laundry room, which is Sarah Bob's room. She keeps all her sketches there. Marshall sees a sketch of a woman, and asks if that's Sarah Bob's mom. Sarah Bob says no, that her mom left when she was little, that she doesn't even know what she looks like. Simon then notices it looks very familiar. Sarah Bob then quickly hides it and asks them what they wish they had. Simon suggests a motorcycle, but Marshall says he doesn't need anything, maybe someone to paint his garage before his parents ground him for life. Marshall then sees a drawing of a family and asks Sarah Bob who they are. Sarah Bob says it's her family. Marshall doesn't believe that those monsters are what she drew. Sarah Bob then tells Marshall that she doesn't draw things the way they are, but how she wishes they were. She tells them that nobody really cared about her drawings before, and that his bike sketch was the first one she ever signed. Just then, Bob comes in and tells Sarah Bob to wash his underwear. That pisses Sarah Bob off, and she draws Bob naked and signs it. Instantly, they hear Bob screaming outside, and they see him running around naked. Marshall thinks it's bizarre and asks Sarah Bob how she did that, and Sarah Bob just says that all she did was sign it with that Eerie No. 2 pencil. Sarah Bob then realizes she's a real artist and thanks Marshall. Dad Bob then yells at Sarah Bob to get clothes for her brother and to tell her friends to go home. Marshall tells her not to draw any more pictures until he gets back. She says okay, but as Marshall and Simon leave, Marshall can't help but feel very uneasy leaving Sarah Bob alone with her newfound powers. There's no telling what she'd draw, or who. Just then, Sarah Bob finishes drawing Marshall's mom and signs it. Marshall and Simon head home, but then they see the garage door and Edgar, who doesn't seem to be very happy about the painting on the garage door of Marshall and Simon riding motorcycles on it. Edgar tries to contain his anger and tells Marshall he'd like Marshall to paint over it. Cindy then comes outside and is upset that Marshall outshined her, saying that she's the artist in the family. Edgar tells Marshall to repaint it before his mom sees it. Marshall asks where his mom is, and Edgar says he doesn't know, that one minute she was there and the next minute she was gone. Simon then tells Marshall he's figured out who the pictures on Sarah Bob's wall were of, and that it was his mom. They race back to Sarah Bob's house, only this time it's quiet. They knock on the door and are greeted by a very different Dad Bob, who greets them and lets them in. They see Sarah Bob in a new dress she drew for herself, and Sarah asks how they liked the garage. Simon tells her he loved it. Sarah Bob's brothers are well-mannered and polite now. Marshall asks Sarah Bob if she knows where his mom is because she's missing, and if she signed the perfect family sketch she drew. She answers with maybe she did, maybe she didn't. Simon then asks what they're decorating for, and Sarah Bob tells them for her mother's return. Marshall asks Sarah where her mom is, and Sarah Bob says she's around. Marshall asks that if this is her sketch family, where is her real family? Sarah Bob shouts she doesn't know and to let her enjoy her family. Sarah Bob asks Marshall and Simon if they love her new family. Marshall tells her that this isn't a real family, that he has a real family, that real families fight and make up, and they care for each other. Marshall then grabs her sketchbook and they play tug-of-war with the perfect family sketch until the picture rips in half and her fake family disappears. Simon then tells Marshall he's found where she put her real family, in the fish tank. Marshall tells Sarah Bob that it's not right to keep them in there, but Sarah Bob says that if she lets them out, they'll just go back to how they were. Marshall encourages Sarah Bob to stand up for herself and to tell them how she feels. She agrees to try that and erases her name from the sketch, and her family reappears just as bad as before. Marshall tells Sarah Bob to tell them how she feels. Sarah Bob tells them how she feels and that she wants her own name. She wants them to call her Sarah Sue from now on. But they don't listen to her and they ignore her. She tells Marshall to deal with them because she's gonna go with her mom. Marshall chases after Sarah Sue now and tries to get into her room, but the door is locked. Marshall and Simon break the door in to see Sarah Sue and Marshall's mom together. They seem happy together. Marshall doesn't know what to do. He felt happy for Sarah Sue, but she had Marshall's mom. Marshall tells Sarah Bob that that's his mother and that he'd like her back. Sarah Sue then tells Marshall that she drew her and that she was hers now. Marshall tells Sarah Sue to draw her own mom, but Sarah Sue says she doesn't know what she looks like, or even if she'd want her. Marshall demands his mother back, that he needs her. Sarah Sue gives in and tells Marshall she only wanted her for a little while and erases her name from the sketch, and Marshall's mom disappears. She then tells Marshall goodbye and thanks him for everything. She writes her name on a sketch and disappears. Marshall and Simon look at the sketch she drew. It was a picture of Sarah Sue and her mother on her way to Paris, France. Marshall says Sarah Sue had the power to be herself now, and that she was truly an artist. Back at Marshall's garage, Marshall tears up the garage sketch, and the painting disappears. Just then, Marshall's mom appears, and Marshall gives her a kiss and tells her welcome back, which makes Marshall's mom confused. Sarah Sue sent Marshall and Simon a drawing from Paris, but they didn't know what it was. It turns out to be an Arnold Schwarzenegger lookalike getting Sarah Sue's family in line. He was played by Stefanos Miltsakakis, who was known for Daredevil and The Quest. Sadly, he passed away in 2019. Well, that concludes episode 11 of Eerie, Indiana. This episode was great, and at times sad, because Sarah Sue basically was growing up in a broken home and was missing a mother figure in her life. I love the concept though, being able to get whatever you want just by drawing it. The acting was super solid, and just a complete joy to watch everything unfold. Let me know if you guys remember this episode, and thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.